Hey everybody, in today's episode of Ask David, I'm going to talk about ways that you can become more critical of your own work to help you improve your photography. Hey David, how do I become more critical of my own photography? I feel like a lot of it looks the same and it's starting to get a little bit stale. This is something good news that all photographers at all skills go through usually more than once in their photography career. So there are a lot of really good ways out there to improve. These apply regardless of what creative endeavor you're doing, whether it's painting or writing. I used a lot of these when I was working on my novel and the fiction that I worked on through the two English degrees that I earned a long time ago. So here are some of the strategies that I put together that have helped me improve any one of the creative endeavors I've done. The first one, and this one is really important, is to let it sit for a little while. When I would write a short story or a personal essay, before I went back and revised it, I'd let it sit for 2 weeks. And that was a strategy that I developed during grad school to come to figure out, that I came to figure out helped me pull more out of the story. So the first thing is let your photos sit for a couple of weeks before you edit them, because that way when you go back to edit them, you won't see them with the emotion that you put into them, the thoughts you had at the time you were taking them. You'll have forgotten a lot of that, and you'll see them more empirically, and that will allow you to make some tougher decisions about how you're going to edit them and which ones you're going to keep or discard. Another thing you can do is train yourself to cull your photos. So let's say you come back in from a shoot and you have 100 photos for easy math. Take the best 10 and edit those. Take the bad ones, the blurry ones, the ones that you missed focus on, or the alignment's terrible and the subject's out of the frame. Delete them, don't even think about them. So take the 10 best, edit those, take the worst, delete them. The rest of them just set in a folder. Maybe you come back to them. If there's something in there that you really want to work on that's really good, you'll come back to it someday. But start off by only editing the best 10% of your photos whenever you come back from a shoot. That will allow you to learn how to critically edit the photos that you're taking. So if you have one roll of film, take the best 3. Edit the best 3 photos out of 36, maybe 4, if you want to round up. And just print those. Take the best of those, learn how to burn and dodge and things like that. So only work on a small fraction and you'll teach yourself how to pick out the best photos. Okay, so now you've been editing the best 10% of your photos and you've gotten pretty good at that. Next step, only edit the best 5%. That's going to get you to take the 10% in the half at the bottom of that 10%, get rid of them. Only focus on the top 5%. If there's something in that other 5% that's really good, you'll come back to it. But really focus on what are the best 5% of the photos I've taken. That's also really going to help you learn how to cull your photos even further. In writing classes, our professors used to say, read, and that's very true. Another thing you can do to really improve your own photography. Don't buy another lens, don't buy another camera, buy books. Go to the library, rent. Do you rent from libraries? Borrow books, that's the word I'm looking for. Another thing you can really do to improve your photography is don't buy another lens. You don't need it. You have a camera and a lens, you can take great photos. You don't need another lens. Don't buy the flash. Don't buy other accessories. The camera sales guys will try to get you to buy accessories that you don't need. Don't buy that UV filter. Take the basic kit. Learn it, learn how to use it really well. Take the money you would have spent on gear, buy photography books. Go to a place like Half Price Books, a used bookstore, older bookstores, things like that, where you can get used books. Go to your library, borrow books from your library. Look at work that other photographers are doing. Pick up books by photographers you've never heard of. Just look at them. See what you like. I picked up a book, 500 pages of blurry photos. Everything was intentionally blurry. I ended up not liking it. But I learned from it that I don't really like blurry photos. Other people might really like, obviously this photographer who did that really liked blurry photos. I picked up books on subjects, architectural photography, portrait lighting. Pick up books that show work. Technique books help as well. Lighting techniques, photography techniques that show, here is this picture, here's how we took this picture, here's the steps that we used to achieve it. But really, there is no substitute for books that just show work by other photographers so you can see what other people are doing. And then you can say, I like this element of that photo. I like the composition, I like the subject, I like the way that the grain or the lack of grain or the color or the tones, whatever, worked to create this image. And as you start to see more of these photos that you really like and get a sense of commonalities between photos that you enjoy and that you have a high regard for, your work will start to look like that. That's a very important way. Look at the work of other photographers. It's key to increasing your own photographic ability and your understanding of your own art. There are other ways to become more critical of your work. Those are just some of the low-hanging fruit, the really easy ones to do. There is one other way, right off the bat, really easy to do. Also, all of these things that I'm talking about today have something in common. They are low-hanging fruit. Another thing you can do is just use your lens and your camera. Put a lens on the front of your camera. Don't take it off for 3 months. If you're shooting 35mm, put a 50mm lens on the front of your camera, or a 35, whatever you want to use. Stick with that lens for a month. Learn how that lens, that focal length works. Really put it through its paces. If you can shoot a roll of film a day, great. If not, try to shoot one a week. And you'll come out of that month really understanding how that focal length is working, and that will also help you improve your photos. You will be forced to work within the confines of that focal length to achieve the images you want. Some you might not be able to, others you will, and your technique will improve for it. So those are some low-hanging fruit ways to improve your photography quickly, easily, and generally pretty affordably, especially if you're getting the books from a library. Let your photos sit, cull out all except your best 10%, cull out all but your best 5%. Look at what other people are doing, stick with one lens and only one lens for at least a month.